Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Scenic Route Astrology. My name is Makayla, Evolutionary Astrologer, and today we're here for the Aquarius Full Moon on August 11th at 9:35 p.m. East Coast time. Of course, always adjust for your correct time zone. This is a wonderful full moon, in my opinion. There is a lot of squares going on between the nodes and the sun and the moon itself, and Saturn is at play, and Mars is at play, Uranus is at play. There's an interesting aspect between Jupiter and Mercury that I see going on, and Vesta and Venus, and a Mars trine Pluto. So I really believe that this full moon is going to illuminate for us on personal levels where we are in the middle of a transition in our life, in our personal lives. And there will be this tense aspect going on, or maybe there's this tense feeling. Maybe there's feelings of not feeling good enough or not ready to move forward. Or a little bit of a state of a lack, or something is lacking in something and I can't move forward yet. That's going to be very real for you if you are feeling that. And I'll explain why when I dive into the natal chart. I also see this as an illumination of the individual purpose and what your soul has come here to do, because the sun will represent our way that we are initiating our soul's purpose and desires, signified by Pluto, and how we're doing that through our sun sign, and also the transiting sun being in Leo. So this is a really big illumination of the ego, and how you can put your specific, unique creative talents and creative self-expression into society. And I think if you're paying attention around this week and you're kind of taking the time to process, like I always recommend, and kind of meditating on it and slowing down or journaling, however you like to reflect on your own development, your own state of consciousness, I think that this full moon will definitely illuminate that for you. And you can, really process any like little kinks that are keeping you from moving forward or keeping you from progressing forward. Okay. This is, you know, about your creative will and your creative self-expression. And we like Leo season because it's always full of like love and creativity and abundance. And I think people, especially, fire and air signs, will usually feel like the burst of the fire energy, the inspiration coming through, but even the earth and water signs, I think, really benefit when the sun is transiting, and especially in Leo, uh perfecting the ego in a sense, and that's really because I'm bringing in the Mercury and Virgo right now. But yeah, it's just it's a good time to realize, what is my purpose here and how is it unique? And also, if you're feeling like you don't fit in with the group, or you don't fit in with certain dynamics or certain tribes, and understanding which ones you do align with or do fit in with, and kind of adjusting your life in that direction. It's kind of like not the time anymore to not resonate with people or things or situations that we don't want to be in anymore. And that's really reflected by the North Node in Taurus, just bringing a sense of practicality and stability and value to the things that are important to us on our personal lives, and going towards that consciously and really making the effort while the nodes are shifting through Scorpio and Taurus, and that will end at some point early to like late early, if that's a thing, next year. I think they shift into Aries and Libra. Don't quote me on this, but I think around April or so of next year. And of course, we're going to have a lot of big energy alignments happening going into 2023, which you have kind of heard me talk about popping in throughout the videos I've been posting lately. So this is all like preparation, of course, for what's being forecasted ahead for us. And that's why we use astrology, right? So we can know what the soul is asking for us, because this is about the direction of your soul and your consciousness. Using astrology is really about your consciousness being brought to the surface and being super hyper vigilant and aware of what it is, because for me, like Makayla is my personality, Aries sun, like it's all about my personality, but my soul goes so much deeper into that. And each planet and each sign just represents little complexities and little states of consciousness and awareness built over my other lifetimes going on and this one, and, really coming into play now. So, one of the things I was thinking about was, for me with a South Node in Leo and the North Node in Aquarius, it's in Pluto in the first house retrograde square my nodes. The resolution point in my chart is through the South Node in Leo. So it's really important that I bring my creativity to the table and I express myself as who I am authentically, which can be a no bullshit kind of direct approach when it comes to astrology with a lot of sarcasm built in. But, I'm very nurturing and caring, and I care about humanity given my moon sign in Cancer, which is the ego, right? But my North Node and my ruling planet Mars are conjunct, and it's really important that I actually creatively bring those out into humanity. And it took me a really long time to figure out what my purpose was, because I felt this special destiny and this special sense of purpose, which many of us might be feeling under this full moon right now. My destiny, my purpose, my being, I know I'm meant for something great, right? It's about knowing that and like channeling that through a higher consciousness, because your body and your personality is the physical way of which you are channeling your creativity through the higher realms. Okay, so this is like a physical thing that is just like being used by my soul in this physical vessel. And it wasn't until, I found astrology and used the tools of astrology to understand how to actualize the ego parts of my sun and my moon, and bring that into humanity, which is educating others and on astrology, and bringing awareness to the collective through my lens, and spiritual coaching, and guiding other people as well through my own lived experiences, which is a part of my human design chart too, right? So this full moon is really like getting a really big illumination on what it is, like your purpose is and what you're working on right now, and figuring it out, and knowing how you can bring that into society, because we are always connected to everyone. And some of us can be like, well, I don't work with people, but in some way you're always connected and relying on other people. So it's really important that we don't disassociate, which can be an Aquarius archetype, from humanity, but rather we learn to integrate our uniqueness into humanity, so that it helps us all evolve, and it brings something into the world that is Leo archetype, that is illuminating, that is love, that is sharing, and that is a leader type of quality as well, so this is a really cool access to work with, and a really cool full moon that we're getting like in the middle of a bunch of chaos that we can see happening in the news this week. Crazy. And and I think just allow yourself to maybe even just take a break and block out, if you are, for some of us who are paying attention to what's going on, just like taking a couple of days to really focus on yourself and your mission, whether that's like shutting off the news for a little while, or taking like your social media off for a little bit. And not actually, that would be a great idea, I think, because instead of figuring out like what you want to do and how you want to integrate your soul purpose based on what everybody else is doing. This is about your uniqueness, right? So if you can spend more time alone, then you're going to be able to spend that time one-on-one with yourself, right? Which is a very intimate part of you. And the moon in Aquarius is reflecting that Leo archetype of self-creativity and of self subjective emotional conception, right? So being able to like allow that full moon to illuminate for you like the inner parts of your ego and how you are so beautifully unique and individuated in your own special birth chart that you were born with, and how you've grown up and everything, all of your experiences, really like taking some space, which is very Aquarius anyway, taking some space and time and detaching from everything else that can affect you like creatively, like that wouldn't allow you to actually channel your own creative ability. And if you can have time and space for that, I really think this would be a really awesome full moon and illumination for individuals to be like, oh my God, like actually, this is my weird little quirk that I don't see anybody else doing in this niche of work. And I can bring this to the table, you know, because we each have like our own unique experience. And just to wrap up this conversation, and I'll get into the aspects of the chart. You know, there are so many astrologers out there. And I was like, at one point I was thinking, well, we're all kind of doing the same thing. We're all like teaching the same about the same archetypes. We're talking about the same planets. We're talking about the same transits. But the awesome thing is they're actually so unique and authentic. And we learn from different teachers and we have our own life experiences that color our lens of which we are looking through astrology. And then we add our own flavor and our own knowledge and our own twist. And I think that it's amazing as I'm now looking at the perspective of how unique everyone is in their astrology practice and the way that they'll talk about a full moon or a new moon, right? It's all about resonance. So, you know, everybody who's on my channel, like, thank you for resonating with me and seeing, you know, the world through my Aquarian lens, really, because I think I look through that lens a lot more lately, you know, actually probably always, but it's really, really cool to see that. And, you know, astrologers and people in astrology do a really good job at developing their own uniqueness because they take the time to look at themselves and do the inner work with themselves through the natal chart and through understanding astrology and taking it really seriously, not only as like a spiritual practice, but a way of living and learning a new language, which is the language of the stars and the language of the universe and of thousands and thousands and thousands of years passed down. So I think when you start taking on that lens of astrology, you actually start to remember multiple lifetimes of knowledge and information shared across, you know, thousands of years and multiple people. It's like you're getting an instant download of information that is really invaluable. There, you can't put it's priceless. You can't put a price on that for sure. So anyway, we're going to dive into the full moon chart now. And I'm going to be using Luna Astrology software, which I still have the 10% off discount code if you all are interested in learning through your chart and starting to save charts and look at other people's friends, family, loved ones, daughters, sons, whatever, right? We can, this astrology software is amazing. It's not only beautiful, but it's so easy to use. I'm like not just saying that because I'm an affiliate, because I've been using them for 2 years before I became an affiliate with them. So, and I always recommended them to people. So let's look at this chart. So of course, like if you're not using Luna Astrology software, you can get your chart for free at astrogold.com. That's always available as well. Okay. So we've got the full moon is conjunct Saturn right here, right? 19 degrees Aquarius. Saturn is retrograde at 22 degrees Aquarius. It's going to be opposing the sun in Leo. Venus also moves into Leo on this day, right? 0 degrees. And we're going to highlight the nodes, of course, right? This big conjunction that's still going on in the nodes. And we're also going to look at, well, I'm going to get to the Jupiter in conjunct Mercury in a little bit. So we've got this big giant square in the fixed signs right now going on, okay? Like the nodes, Mars, Uranus just had that big conjunction, which you can watch the video I posted on that. That energy is kind of now spreading its way out. It's still very active. I think that Uranus will still bring us some unexpected surprises and gifts, especially now that Mars is trining Pluto on this full moon. But squares is an integration aspect. It's a transitional tension, and it just means that you are now breaking ground and moving forward in new directions of your life, and you will probably be hit with some type of block or tension or difficulty. Okay, but it's just to build like some strength, and it's also a part of like letting go of dynamics in your life that really are crystallized or formed over time that are kind of just like deeply rooted within you, like habits, like bad habits. Think of bad habits, I used to have a bad habit of going to bed with my makeup on, and I did it for years. Okay. I did it for so long. And bad habits really are hard to break because you just get used to just like going to bed and sleeping, and you know what I mean? So, and I used to like try to look really great until the very last, second of my ex-fiance sleeping. And so I would just fall asleep with my makeup on, right? It's like that. It's just like getting rid of a bad habit and just kind of compromising out and knowing like where you really need to let go of some things that we've been talking about with that South Node, right? Where do I like need to let go of like a fear of growth, for instance, or what is on the other side, like anything new worth discovering, right? Which is a Mars archetype, going into a new direction, taking on a new challenge, learning a new thing, discovering yourself in a new way, right? Those are all Mars qualities. It's in the Taurus sign right now, and it's fixed. So it wants to stay where it is because Taurus can get really comfortable where it is, but Mars is really asking you to like push the envelope. What is really important to you? What is really of value to you? And how do you want your life to be so that it can be more simple, so that it can be more beautiful, so you can have more harmony in your life, like so you can be more self-sufficient even, right? We're dealing with this square with like the moon and Saturn conjunct over here in Aquarius, where we're really getting a double full moon kind of aspect. Like there's a phasal relationship between the sun and Saturn here. That's a full moon phasal relationship. And then the same with the moon, right? It's actual full moon. So we're getting this illumination of the structures and the boundaries that we have put in place that are seeking some type of freedom and liberation and growth now. And when we go back to what I said in the beginning of this full moon video was, what is your sense of destiny and what is your purpose? Well, what internally, like what kind of fears might you be holding within yourself that is preventing you from taking these great big leaps of faith into the unknown, where you know your full potential, right? You know that you have a special destiny. You know that you have a better quality of life. I'm not saying your quality of life is bad now, but like something better, right? Something to go towards, because the soul always is striving for the next desire and the next stage of growth, right? What is holding you back that is, a fear and like causing you some sense of resistance? And what is it that is making you scared, to go in that direction? Another personal example is when I started this YouTube channel, I was like so scared. I was like, this was like over a year ago now, like, and I was like, I don't know. What if everyone thinks I'm a bad astrologer? Like, what if this? And I know that I'm a great astrologer, right? But it was like I was depending on, and this is very much, I can speak from this because this is my nodal axis, and this is about this Leo Aquarius axis right here that I want people to really be aware of, is that the Leo archetype wants to be noticed. It wants to be validated, and it wants to know it's important, that it's really good at what it does, that it's the sunlight, that's the center of attention, right? Because it's just Leo energy. Like it's nothing bad about it. It's the inner child, right? The inner child is like, Mom, look at me. Oh my God, look at me jump in the pool like 1,000 times, right? And you're watching your kid jump in the pool 1,000 times. You're like, yes, honey, I saw you, right? That is like Leo validation. That's what Leo seeks. But because Saturn is a part of this play, right? And Saturn is a huge dynamic right now in this energy in this year, because it squares the nodes, and because we're getting Saturn Uranus square coming up, right? The last one, and we had 3 last year. And we're not going to get Saturn in Aquarius for another 30 years. The Aquarius part of this is saying, well, you're individual and you're unique. And does it really matter what everybody else thinks? Does it really matter what they're going to think of you if you're being authentic and you're being truthful and standing in your own empowerment and being who you really want to be, creating the art that you really want, starting the YouTube channel that you really want, right? Like just thinking about my own personal work going on, right? You know what I mean? Starting things that at first you're like, well, what are other people going to think? But it doesn't matter, because everybody is looking through their own lens anyway. So staying in that Aquarius energy isn't about getting the validation and the recognition. It's about doing it because it's going to help and serve other people and in humanity, right? And that is where you'll get the recognition, because it doesn't become about the self anymore. It becomes about everybody, right? The group dynamics, and like a social relevance to this dynamic. Okay, special destiny, Leo energy down here, right, meet the social relevance. And that's why they're on the same axis, because each individual's special destiny is also a part of the whole entire of humanity. So it's really important that we cultivate really strong inner child, and we validate ourselves, not based on everybody else's opinion, but positive affirmations, like doing a video after and being like, wow, that was really freaking good job, you know what I mean? Or like going to the gym every day because you want to be healthier, right? And instead of attacking yourself of how you look in the mirror, being like, wow, good fucking job, you made it to the gym today, you know what I mean? Like, though, it's those type of dynamics, that self-validation, not the exterior validation. And the more that you validate yourself and you tap into your special purpose, and it isn't colored by what everyone else is doing, and it isn't colored by everybody else's opinion, you actually get to actualize that and figure it out, and how you can bring that into the collective and into group dynamics, finding your tribe, being a leader in the community. And we need more of them. Like, there is no cap on, positive, affirming, just positive, compassionate, heart-centered leaders, So, if you're doing astrology, like, I guarantee you're on a really, really, really good path, because you're living in that heart space and you're being an example of what that means for everybody. Okay. So the mission, is to realize that you've got this special destiny and this purpose that's being illuminated right now, and you're gonna meet some challenging aspects, and that's okay, because we're all getting it. And when you take this chart and you layer it on top of your chart, you'll get to see what areas, these specifically might be happening for you. And of course, they'll be hitting, and making aspects to some of your personal planets, which helps this general horoscope really hone in more on the personal experience for you. Okay. So it is about, liberating yourself, also signified by this Mars right here, trine to Pluto retrograde. Okay, it is about liberating yourself from these deep conditioned patterns. Okay, let me just circle that now. Right here, right? A nice trine with Pluto. And you know what? Pluto is like, I'm still working hard at the end of Capricorn. I'm still breaking down, societal structures that don't work good for me anymore. Really rigid, beliefs that I have that just prevent me from evolving to my higher self. On a collective scale, this is like the suppression dynamic that we can experience from, rules and regulations that are outside of ourselves. But, Pluto is asking us to really decondition some of the dynamics that we've learned while growing up and that have passed down to us from ancestral trauma, really. It's like, we are needing to destroy some of these belief systems that really are weighing us down and not letting us be in our authentic purpose and power, and not letting us evolve into the greater good for humanity. Okay, so the trine here is definitely Mars is going to set off something. But I don't see this being like a wicked, awful aspect. I see this being like any kind of intense movement that you see is needing to happen in your life. Mars is going to push it with the trine aspect. There's a little bit more of an ease than a square. You know what I mean? But Mars is still a part of this, the square to the sun and the moon, and opposing the south node. So the other thing about the opposing aspect is that it's a balancing process, right? Of course, like you'll think of it like the scales. Something is out of balance, so something in the life needs to be thrown off. Okay, something needs to be let go, and that's like really, really loud to me anyway, because the south node is in Scorpio. So it's about letting go of fears and attachments to more of like a psychological dynamic that is really preventing you. So, this is a time to get therapy. This is a time to do inner work. This is a time to book readings with astrologers, get into esoteric healing and knowledge, do somatic work, do body work, do kundalini. The south node of Scorpio is a time to like literally expel like all of the toxicity within the emotional, mental, and physical body. You know what I mean? This is very much like a detox kind of year. Which will make you lighter, and it'll prepare you as well for when Pluto moves into Aquarius, because you are going to want to be more lighter when that shift happens in early next year. Again, lighter, I mean emotionally, physically, and mentally lighter, more agile, more free, more objective, okay, more flexible to change and to see a bigger and broader perspective, instead of living in these narrow, rigid dynamics that Capricorn can hold on to. Okay, you want to have that bigger picture. Aquarius lives in the sky, like it is the water bearer, but it is in the giant abyss of the atmosphere, and it has the best perspective because it is looking at everything from down below, right? So you're going to want to have your consciousness, right? That being that channels through your physical body, you're going to want that to be able to flow through you, especially when Pluto moves into Aquarius. Like imagine the credible downloads that people and the higher information, and the way that we can take society and our planet move forward for positive change and growth, right? You're going to want to be open, like an open portal for that to happen. So that's why, very much this year is like a prep year. And honestly, like from 2020 till now and into next year are like prep years. to get us moving into the fact that we're going to have all the outer planets moving from water and earth into fire and air, where things are going to be really fast, really light, really inspirational. And you don't want to be like bogged down. Like if you eat, and no judgment, I love pizza, I eat pizza, but how you feel when you eat like a whole giant cheese pizza and the next day you feel so sluggish, right? As opposed to eating maybe like a fruit salad and something light and you feel kind of more airy. It's like your body doesn't digest the stuff the same, right? So the South Node in Scorpio has really been asking us to kind of like get rid of all of this toxicity that we've accumulated. Okay. And you're not going to get this chance again for like another 19 years with the South Node in Scorpio. Okay. So you'll get it in like 8 years with the North Node there, but with the South Node, with the releasing aspect, like it's such a powerful time to be here. So it's amazing. And I just encourage everybody to take use of that. So the other thing I wanted to point out, I mean, there's a lot of stuff, as you can see, going on in the chart, like boom, 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 like aspects going everywhere. But this other interesting aspect I pointed out was Jupiter in conjunct Mercury, okay, in this gibbous phase. And I wrote an article last night, like late last night, that brought this aspect to my attention on the just an observation on Donald Trump's house getting raided. And I was like, that's interesting. I'm going to look at Donald Trump's chart. I'm going to look at the transit. So if you're interested in that article, it's on my blog, which is on Medium. I write on Medium. So you can find my articles on there. And I got a lot of attention already on it. So it's worth a look-see, especially if you want to learn about how to like read transits and like kind of figure how they work in a personal chart, right? It's a really good example of a real life incident. So I was like looking at this Jupiter Mercury, which is happening for everybody, and this isn't a gibbous phase, is a part of phasal relationships in evolutionary astrology, is we look at the relationships between the planets in the chart, right? And the inconjunct in the gibbous phase speaks to the crisis that the human being has to go through. I have to pause this for a minute. Okay, sorry about that, everyone. I had a visitor at the door. So I forget where I left off. But okay, I was talking about the inconjunction between the Jupiter over here and Mercury. So here you have an aspect in the chart that knows that, there's a special destiny and purpose, right? That needs to be, and we know this because in Mercury and Virgo, we're thinking about it, we're discerning it, we're kind of looking for where we can improve on it. And, this is a planet that rules the left side of our brain and how we process information and take it in, right? And so, we're looking at things from a very intellectual way because there is a lot of fire and air going on, right? As with the Saturn and Moon in Aquarius, and then Jupiter, Chiron in Aries. We know that there is a destiny and that we need to go towards that destiny. And we're probably thinking about what are the ways that I can actualize it and what are the ways that I can move towards this destiny, right? Because we're also being asked to make adjustment and movements, right? Signified by the squares that we talked about earlier. We're in the middle of a transition. Well, to be in the middle of a transition, we need to make some movement. And either to make some movement, we kind of need to think about what direction we're going in. Well, the direction that we're going in is also going to be deeply rooted on our beliefs that we have, which is Jupiter right here. Jupiter in Aries, our individual beliefs, our special sense that we have a destiny and a purpose, right? Actualizing that, I am here for type of energy, right? I am Aries. The truths that we govern our life by and the laws that we choose to live our life by, right? Our personal laws, right? A personal sense of standards of beliefs that we hold to ourselves. Well, this aspect right here, we're going to make movement towards our goals and our objective destiny that we're going towards, and how we're going to bring it out into the community and humanity. We're going to be thinking about that process. But with this in conjunct right here, it's a type of a crisis dynamic where there's a part of the self that might not feel good enough or ready enough to go into that direction. And it might seem like, oh my God, crisis, like I don't want to feel this way, right? Nobody wants to feel this way, but there's a humbling there's a humbling aspect, a part of this this figuration going on in the chart that is necessary for the soul to go through, so that the soul actually can understand to a deeper level the reason behind the challenges that it is facing. Okay, because if we were just given everything, right, we wouldn't feel the same about the goals or the direction, the sense of purpose that we're bringing into life, right? If things were just easy and given to us, right, there wouldn't be that type of I worked hard, I struggled for this type of meaning underneath this type of aspect. So the in conjunction, the gibbous phase is really a blessing in disguise, in my opinion. So if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling like you're not good enough right now, if you're feeling like you're not ready, just know this is a planetary configuration that is meant to bring some humbling aspect into your life. You know, I also see this as an extra layer, and it just became apparent to me now too, is that same kind of aspect is happening between the South Node in Scorpio and Chiron in Aries. And so, you know, with Chiron in Aries, it's a very long transit in the sign, and we're all dealing with a wounding around the sense of that purpose, right? A wounding around being able to express ourselves, or wanting to step in a new direction, or having that Aryan, courageous, brave aspect. Okay, like just doing something, right? Just like kind of the new baby steps out and just like kind of goes for it. You know, there can be a wounding around this dynamic where the fear, right? The South Node in Scorpio, and the fear, you know, is understanding that there's a crisis dynamic when you are going to go into that new direction, and you are going to take that leap of faith. Okay. So there's a lot of this going on where I see, like, yeah, knowing your special destiny and purpose, figuring it out, feeling what that means for you, and then understanding that there will be some conflict, there'll be some challenges coming around this energy, around this week, and that anything of crisis, whether it's emotionally, physically, or mentally, right, is necessary for the change, because it's a humbling experience. And it reminds you again that your creative destiny and your creative purpose is not from your ego, and it's not from your personality. It is actually from your soul, from a deeper level, right? This is deep soul work that is being channeled through your being. So if you can put the stuff about your ego aside, and you can start to be in your own vibration, and you can start to really get into your creative destiny of what it means to be your soul, you know, then you can start to channel it in, and how you can bring that in and share that with everybody else. And then these little types of crises and stuff, right, become more humbling, because you realize, like, I'm just a human being having a human experience on earth. Like, it doesn't matter what people think of me. It doesn't matter what I look like, really, right? It just matters that I am happy, I'm feeling joy, and I'm happy with the actions that I'm taking, and the choices that I'm making, and how it makes me feel every single day. Okay. And that's where we really want to head into with this whole entire nodal thing going on with the South Node Scorpio and the North Node in Taurus. All right. So I think that was a lot of information. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen. And I'm just going to remind everyone, please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And please share this or tag me on any platforms. You know, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Twitter, kind of. I'm on Patreon. Please join my Lunations Patreon group. It's $3 a month, and I'm willing to do meetings for full moon and new moons with groups of people, so we can talk about astrology. Of course, I'm on YouTube and I'm on Instagram, and you can find me on www.scenicruastrology.com if you'd like to book an evolutionary astrology reading with me. Also, I have my Sacral Chakra Oracle deck still for sale, which you can find on Amazon. People have been loving it, and it's the first of a 7-deck series. So if that's something that you would be into purchasing, it's all about manifesting your creative potential, which is very much about this full moon, and your sexuality, your relationship dynamics, and manifestation abilities. So it's a really good one to have handy. And I just thank everybody for being here, leaving me comments. Please leave comments down below. I love to get back to you guys. I love to get feedback from the community. Aquarius North Node. And I hope everybody has a really good week and a really nice full moon. And tell me what you're thinking about, what your special destiny is, what your purpose is, and how you're bringing that into your Aquarius part of your chart. I'd love to know what you say, and I will be back again soon, guys. All right, everybody, take care.